Okay, so here I am today. I'm with Serena, and she's an amazing person that push me to do the hacks for change and say that just do it, not just do it, even though I'm worried about how the logistics gonna be. And Serena is involved in a project called 5.5. Yes.
Yep.
And she's been like traveling all over the world and find these local heroes. And when I told her about Hacks for Change, she presented me with several charity projects that she's involved in, and the one that I choose is called the Yellow Butterfly, is it?
Yep.
And yeah, it's an organization, a charity runs by a guy called Oscar. Or you can take on from here, Serena, and tell me the story about the charity and.
Okay. Well, yeah, we volunteered in loads of different places and filmed loads of projects in Latin America. And the first one we did was, yeah, with this place called Fundación Mariposas Amarillas, which means the Yellow Butterflies Foundation. So this guy, Oscar, was a street kid. I think he left home when he was 7, and he was on the streets for 10 years in a really rough part of Colombia. And then he got a second chance. So someone helped him when he was 17 get an education and just helped him create his life. And essentially what he decided he wanted to do was to teach kids in places who, well, provide education for kids who didn't have access to it otherwise. So he went to these slums, not where he's from, and proposed to build these schools. And he said some of the original slums, like they were dangerous places, and some of them just blocked him and said, "Get out, or something bad will happen to you," basically.
Wow.
But then he found this one place, and he met with a woman there who has a little girl, and just said, "Okay, I'll help you build this here." And so she has taken some leadership in that community as well to help make this a reality. And then more recently, he's built another school in another community from scratch. So they have the volunteers actually sometimes on their days off will go and build more walls and toilets and things like that. So these two little schools exist each day. They run one in the morning and one in the afternoon for different kids who are around each school.
Mm-hmm.
And they are like slums. Like one of them is really bad. Like when it rains, which in the rainy season is every day, like the whole streets flood. They're just mud full of rubbish. There's animals running around. There's kids. Most of the kids are barefoot, so because there's so much rubbish, they're always cutting their feet, and it's really tough. And they can't afford the $3 to get a taxi to, say, the hospital or a doctor if there's a problem. So most of them don't have access to healthcare, or they're just remote. It's only a 15-minute drive to the city or the town of Santa Marta, but for them that's long enough that they're completely isolated there. And a lot of taxis, like you go every day in a taxi, and a lot of taxis won't drive you there. They think it's too dangerous. But there's these two amazing schools, and Oscar originally was teaching both schools himself. But yeah, now he more manages overall, and there's another teacher that does both schools, and he works to to provide funds for the school overall. So basically they have one teacher who's full-time, and she teaches in the morning in one school, in the afternoon in the other school. And then this whole organization is basically funded by volunteers come, and they pay $70 as a volunteer donation, as a one-off, and then they volunteer for as long as they can. So some people go for a week, some people stay for 3 or 6 months, and volunteer and help assist the teachers with the kids and work with the kids one-on-one. And yeah, it's an amazing project. So that was the very first project that we went to, and we spent 3 weeks there, and yeah, it was amazing. Like, it's heartbreaking hearing, especially once you get to know the kids, and they're just the happiest kids, and they're so happy to be in school and happy to be learning. And then you hear about their family life at home, or or the struggles that their family and older siblings are going through, and it's heartbreaking to know that unless they get an education, the outcome for them is not going to be great.
Mm.
Um, like one kid that I really did fall in love with, he's just such a bright kid, and I said to Oscar, I just asked him about him, and he said, yeah, look, his older siblings, a lot of them are on drugs. His mother is kind of crazy, and he's got loads of siblings who they don't know who the fathers are, and it's just, you can just see that without an education, these kids are just heading down the same path because it's so hard to get out, and they have to have an education to get any sort of job. Like most of the kids want to become police officers. Um, so, you can't join the police force without being able to read and write. So it's so important to them, their lives. Like, it's crucial.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for sharing that, Serena. That's a beautiful story. So I do believe in educating the world in a sense, because without educations there is just gonna be more ignorance. And tell us more about because you are in contact with Oscar, and then we talk about, we wanted to raise 5 grand for to build a kitchen, but could you just tell a bit more information why the kitchen is important for the school?
Yep. So I guess there's kind of two parts to the story, because originally when we said to Oscar that about the Hugs for Change thing, and if we could, what they really needed, he said, well, if we could raise 5 grand, then one of the two schools in one of the slums, they have an area out the back where if they can build a kitchen there, they can provide a nutrition program for the kids. So they did trial it once with having breakfast for the kids every day, which obviously makes a huge difference if you have a consistent meal before
Mm-hmm.
you work, before you learn, which would be amazing. But they can also teach the adults classes in cooking and nutrition and how to make the most of the food that they have. So if they could get 5 grand, then they could actually build this kitchen. They can put a roof on the back area, and then build a kitchen that they can actually do these two things with. So they can have classes and they can also prepare food for the kids. And then, there's one other thing involved in that, and I can't actually remember what it is right now.
Because you were saying that they can be recognized as school.
That's right. Okay, so thank you. So if they get a kitchen, a proper kitchen, then the government, they're currently a charity, but the government will see them as an official school,
Mm-hmm.
if they can put a kitchen in as well. And therefore, then they're more eligible for school grants and for the schools program, as well as the charity side of things. So that would be amazing for them to get registered in that regard. But then as all of this, transpired and started happening, the government also changed the rule on how volunteers work in Colombia,
Mm-hmm.
which overall is a good thing. But what's changed then is that people, instead of being able just to rock up and volunteer, they need to get a special volunteering visa first.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem with this is, like, it makes sense for the country, but the problem for this charity is it's not how they've been doing things up till now. And so it's meant all of a sudden that all of the volunteers who've just been seeing the work that they do and being inspired and coming and volunteering, they can't do that now. So their main source of fundraising has ended until they can find a more long-term solution. So in the short term, if we at the moment can help fundraise for them, it will actually save the school from shutting down in the short term until they work out the longer term solution. So yeah, it's so important that, like, for the whole project that
Yeah.
this is happening. Like, it's amazing timing, and yeah, it's amazing that you're doing this.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, and I hope I'm gonna share this message with people who watch this, and hopefully we can raise that 5 grand as soon as I can. So
Fingers
hopefully
crossed.
people, yeah. Thanks for that, and I'll chat to you real soon, Serena. Thank you so much for your support and for pushing me through these hacks for change and making a difference in the world. And obviously, you have been involved in a lot of charity work as well, and kudos to you. for inspiring me. But it's time to make a difference. So thank you.
And thank you, Nat. Like what you're doing is absolutely amazing. And yeah, your energy is so great. And I can't wait to see you succeed in this and see what else you go on to.
Thank you. All right. Thanks, Serena. Bye.
Bye.
I'll just stop that.